Good morning, dear children. Dear children, we were on Geography chapter 5, that was water. And children, we have discussed uh, why water is important to us and what is water cycle. Fine. Then we have discussed about the distribution of water. After that, we were discussing the ocean circulation. Fine, children. In the ocean circulation, we have discussed the waves part. Fine. Now, children, we are going to talk about this case study, which is tsunami, the Earth's pandemonium. Fine. Tsunami or the harbor wave. They sometimes, children, they uh, struck in a very, havoc way. They cause a lot of destruction, and this happened in the Indian Ocean on 26th January, sorry, 26th December 2004. Now the wave was the result of earthquake. Earthquake took place, and its epicenter was, children, very close to the western boundary of Sumatra. Fine. Now the magnitude of this earthquake was 9.0 on the Richter scale. So it's too high. Now, as the Indian plate went under the Burma plate, there was a sudden movement of the seafloor causing the earthquake. So it was due to the earthquake. The ocean floor was displaced by about 10 to 20 meters and tilted in a downwardly direction. So it was about like this, it was tilted downwards. A huge mass of ocean water flowed to fill the gap that was being created by the displacement, and this marked the withdrawal of water mass from the coastlines of the land masses in the South and Southeast Asia. After thrusting of the Indian plate below the Burma plate, the water mass rushed back towards the coastline, and tsunami traveled at a speed of 800 kilometers per hour. It is just comparable to the speed of a commercial aircraft, children, and it completely washed away some of the islands in the Indian Ocean. So, if you talk about Indira Point, that was in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, that was marked as the southernmost tip of India, it got completely submerged. Fine. Now, as the wave moved from earthquake epicenter from Sumatra towards the Andaman Islands and Sri Lanka, the wavelength decreased with decreasing depth of water. The travel speed also declined from 700 to 900 kilometers per hour to less than 70 kilometers per hour. So the tsunami wave, they traveled up to the depth of 3 kilometers from the coast, killing more than 10,000 people and children. It affected more than a lakh of houses. So many people, they lost their houses. In India, the worst affected were the coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So here a lot of destruction took place. While the earthquake cannot be predicted in advance, it is possible to give a 3-hour notice of a potential tsunami. So we cannot predict it, but still we can give 3-hour notice. Such early warning systems are in place across the Pacific Ocean, but not in the Indian Ocean. So such devices, they are there in the Pacific but not in the Indian Ocean. Tsunamis are rare in the Indian Ocean as the seismic activity is less as compared to the Pacific. So The tsunami that ravaged the South and Southeast Asian coast in December 2004 is the most devastating tsunami in the last several hundred years. So it was so much destructive that it was the devastating, the most destructible tsunami in the last several hundred years. The large damage caused to life and property was primarily a result of lack of monitoring, the early warning systems, and knowledge among the coast dwellers of Indian Ocean. So why all this happened? Because of the lack of monitoring, and the early warning systems were not there, and even people were not aware, they were not having proper knowledge about this. The first indication that tsunami is approaching is the rapid withdrawal of water from the coastal region, followed by destructive waves. So lot of water is withdrawn from the coastal region. When this happened on the coast, instead of people going to high ground, they started assembling at the coast to view the miracle. Now, people, instead of going away, they came near to the coast. As a consequence, there was a large casualty of curious onlookers when gigantic wave tsunami struck. Fine. Now we will talk about tides, children. Fine. What is a tide? Tide is a rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice in a day. Fine. So it is a high tide when the water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. It is low tide when the water falls to its lowest level and recedes from the shore. Fine. High tide when the water is covering most of the shore to its highest level, and when the water is falling to its lower level when it is receding, going away from the shore. The strong gravitational pull exerted by the sun and the moon on the earth's surface causes the tides. So how the tides are caused? By the strong gravitational pull that is exerted by the sun, the moon on the earth's surface. The water of the earth closer to moon gets pulled under the influence of the moon's gravitational force and causes high tide. Now when it comes high tides, when the earth is closer to the moon and it gets pulled under the influence of the moon's gravitational force. So that time what happened? High tides. Fine. Now during the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon, and the earth, look at the figure, they are in the same line. So at this time the tides are highest. So these type of tides are known as spring tides. But when the moon is in its first and the last quarter, the ocean waters get drawn in diagonally opposite direction by the gravitational pull of sun and moon, resulting in low tide. So you can see the neap, they will be called neap tides. So you can see neap tides in the above diagram. So you just draw this diagram with the question also. High tides help in navigation. They raise the water level close to the shores. Fine. This helps the ships to arrive at the harbor more easily. So what is the advantages of high tides? First of all, they are helping in navigation and they are helping the ships to arrive at the harbor more easily and quickly. Thirdly, they help in fishing because during the high tides, lot of fish they get collected near the shore. So this enables the fishermen to get a plentiful catch The rise and fall of water due to tides is also being used to generate electricity in some places, children. Fine. Now, ocean currents. Now, what are ocean currents? They are streams of water flowing constantly on the ocean surface in a definite direction. Fine. So, in which direction the water is flowing, that tells us what type of current it is. So, it can be warm, it can be cold. You can see figure 5.6. Here it is. So, the cold currents are blue in color and the warm currents are red in color. So, they can be warm and can be cold. Now, generally, the warm currents, obviously, where they are going to originate, they are going to originate near the equator and they will be moving towards the pole. And the cold currents, they will carry water from the polar region or the higher altitude to the tropical or the lower latitudes. Fine. Now, two examples are there for cold currents. Labrador ocean currents, they are example of cold currents. Gulf Stream, it is the example of warm currents. So, children, the ocean current, they always influence the temperature conditions of the areas. So, the warm current brings warm temperature over the land surface. The areas where the warm and the cold currents meet, that place is the best fishing ground of the world. So where is it? The seas of Japan, seas around the Japan and the eastern coast of North America, they are very good example of such fishing grounds. The areas where the warm and the cold current meet, children, that experience foggy weather and it makes very difficult for navigation. Fine. So this was the end of the topic. Thank you and have a nice day.